In our culture we hold a rather peculiar and unexamined belief that offering assistance to others is an unquestionable virtue. We have been conditioned since our earliest days to think that to be a person of integrity, of spirit, of love, one must always be agreeable, always be giving, and always be accessible. Should you hesitate, should you pause, should you dare to establish a boundary, then surely something must be amiss with your character. You must be selfish. You must be lacking in compassion. But what if this entire premise is fundamentally flawed? What if the compulsive urge to assist everyone, to mend every broken situation, to rescue every soul in distress, is not actually an expression of love at all, but a form of spiritual interference, a way of obstructing the very lessons that life, in its profound wisdom, is attempting to teach? Consider it. When you perpetually shield someone from the natural outcomes of their own choices, what are you truly accomplishing? You are not aiding their progress. You are keeping them in a state of arrested development. You are preventing them from gaining wisdom. You are standing between them and the insights that can only be forged in the crucible of personal experience. Now, I am not proposing that we become cold or apathetic. That would be merely swinging to the other extreme. The question is not if we should care. The question is how we should care, and more critically, into whom we choose to invest our precious energy. For you see, there are certain types of individuals who will deplete you entirely. They will receive, and receive, and receive. And no matter the volume of what you give, it will never be sufficient. And the tragedy is not that they are taking from you. The tragedy is that you are preventing them from finding their own strength. Allow me to share with you 7 types of people you must learn to recognize, not so you may condemn or judge them, but so you may safeguard your own energy and permit them to face the very experiences they require to awaken. Number 1. The chronically lethargic. There is a profound chasm, you see, between an individual who is struggling against a current and one who has simply resigned themselves to floating downstream. The person battling the waves will use your assistance as a raft to reach the shore, but the chronically lethargic individual will use your raft as a comfortable place to rest. They have made a decision, whether consciously or not, that life is too arduous and that someone else should shoulder their responsibilities. The moment you intervene to help them, you become that someone else. You become the pillar they lean on, not because they are incapable of standing, but because they have learned that a pillar will always be provided for them. Now, observe what happens in the natural world. A mother bird does not continue to feed a chick that refuses to leave the nest. A mighty oak does not waste its life force on a branch that refuses to produce leaves. Nature is impeccably clear on this principle. If something is not generative, if it is not contributing to its own vitality, it is eventually pruned away, not out of cruelty, but out of an innate wisdom. The chronically lethargic person will always be armed with an excuse. They will recount stories of their difficult past, their unfortunate luck, their unjust circumstances. And, while some of this may be true, there is a question you must ask. What are they personally doing about it at this moment? Are they taking any action, no matter how small, to alter their situation? Or are they simply waiting for a savior to arrive and manage it for them? When you assist someone who refuses to assist themselves, you deprive them of something invaluable. You deny them the satisfaction of their own achievement. You deny them the strength that is forged only through overcoming obstacles. You deny them the very thing they need most, which is the discovery of their own capability. Some of you have been carrying people for years. You manage their finances, you resolve their conflicts, you clean up their disordered lives. And with every act, you tell yourself you are being kind. But what if your kindness is the very thing that is perpetuating their weakness? What if your help is the padlock on the cage that prevents them from walking on their own 2 feet? The lethargic person needs to feel the pangs of necessity. They need to experience the discomfort of their own inaction. They need to face the unbuffered consequences of their choices, because it is only when the pain of remaining the same exceeds the pain of changing that they will finally choose to move. Number 2. The perpetually ungrateful. Have you ever observed how some people can receive an extraordinary kindness and accept it with an air of complete indifference, as if it were their due? You could offer them your time, your finances, your energy, your very soul, and they will take it without a moment's hesitation. No word of thanks, no sign of acknowledgement, no appreciation whatsoever. This is not an accidental oversight. It is an issue of character. Gratitude is not merely a display of good manners. It is the spiritual posture of a person who understands they are part of a web of interconnection larger than themselves. A grateful person comprehends that every blessing, every gift, and every act of kindness is not an entitlement, but a grace freely given. And when you understand this, you treat such gifts with a sense of reverence. But the ungrateful person operates from a belief that the world is their debtor. They believe your assistance is their right, and the more you give to them, the more entitled they become. It is a strange and self-defeating paradox, is it not? The more you pour into them, the less value they place upon it. I once observed a woman who supported a relative through a difficult time for over a year. Week after week, she sacrificed her own resources to ensure this relative was cared for. And how did the relative respond? With constant complaint. He complained that the support was not enough. He complained that his situation was unfair compared to others. He complained about the quality of the help he was receiving. Not once did he offer a simple thank you. Not once did he acknowledge the sacrifice being made. And when the year was over, and the woman could no longer provide the same level of support, what happened? The relative grew resentful. He felt wronged, as if the help he had been receiving was not a gift, but a perpetual obligation that was now being unjustly withdrawn. This is the nature of the ungrateful soul. They do not perceive kindness. They perceive an opportunity. They do not see generosity. They see a resource to be exploited, and they will continue to take and take until there is nothing left of you to give. When you help an ungrateful person, you are not planting seeds in fertile ground. You are pouring water into a sieve. And no matter how much you pour, it will never be full. Number 3. The arrogant and self-righteous. There exist individuals who do not desire your help. They desire your audience. They do not want your wisdom. They want you to validate what they already believe to be true. And if you dare to offer any perspective that challenges their inflated view of themselves, they will dismiss you without a second thought. The arrogant person is not suffering from a lack of information. They are suffering from an abundance of pride. They are convinced they already possess the answers. They believe their way is the only right way, and anyone who suggests an alternative is, by definition, misguided. Now, pride is a peculiar affliction. It often presents itself as confidence, but at its core, it is a manifestation of fear. The arrogant person is deeply afraid of being proven wrong, because their entire identity has been constructed upon a foundation of being right. If they were to admit they do not know something, if they were to acknowledge a need for assistance, their entire sense of self would begin to teeter. And so, They double down. They defend, they argue, they reject. You cannot help a person like this, not because they are beyond help, but because they are in a state where they do not believe they need it. And until they arrive at that realization through their own life experiences, anything you offer will be deflected. The great spiritual masters of history walked away from people like this. They did not pursue them, and they did not plead with them to listen. They simply stated what was true and moved on, because they understood a fundamental principle. You cannot force wisdom upon a mind that is committed to its own folly. The arrogant person must collide with the wall of their own limitation. They must experience the failure of their own design. They must fall hard enough that they are finally compelled to look up and realize they do not, in fact, have all the answers. And only then, when they have been humbled, when their certainty has been broken, will they be ready to truly receive help. Number 4. The habitually wicked. I wish to be very precise here, because we live in an era where people are hesitant to use words like wicked or evil. We prefer softer, more clinical language. We might say someone is troubled or misunderstood. But we must be honest. There are people in this world who are not confused. They know exactly what they are doing, and they choose to do it anyway. The wicked person is not someone who makes an occasional mistake. We all make mistakes. The wicked person is someone who has adopted malevolence as a way of life. They deceive, they exploit, they manipulate, and they inflict harm upon others without a shred of remorse. And when they are confronted, they do not repent. They rationalize. When you offer help to a wicked person, you inadvertently become their accomplice. You enable their destructive behavior. You provide them with the resources to continue causing harm. And let me tell you something with certainty. They will use what you give them not to change their ways, but to delve deeper into their own darkness. There is a reason that wisdom traditions from every culture warn against providing support to those who practice evil. It is not because we lack compassion. It is because we recognize that some individuals have chosen a path that leads only to destruction. And if you try to pull them from that path, they will only succeed in pulling you onto it with them. The wicked person does not want to be saved. They want to be empowered. They want someone to finance their schemes, to provide cover for their deceptions, and to clean up the messes they leave behind. And if you step into that role, you are not helping a soul in need. You are partnering with the forces of darkness. Number 5. The incurably foolish. A fool is not someone who lacks intelligence. Some of the most intelligent people are fools. A fool is someone who is immune to learning. They repeat the same errors over and over again. They disregard sound advice. They reject accumulated wisdom. They touch the hot stove time and again, and then wonder why their hand is in pain. The difference between a wise person and a fool is quite simple. A wise person learns from their experiences. A fool does not. Now, here is what makes this so particularly challenging. The fool will often approach you in a state of great distress. They will be in the midst of a crisis. They will be desperate, and your heart, naturally, will go out to them. You will want to help. You will want to rescue them from their plight. But, if you look closely at their history, you will see a clear and repeating pattern. This is not their first crisis. This is not the first time they have required a rescue. In fact, they have been in this exact situation multiple times before. And each time, someone has helped them. And each time, they have gone right back to the same behaviors that led them into trouble in the first place. The fool is like a person adrift in the ocean, who refuses to grab the life preserver you have thrown them. Instead, they continue to thrash about, splashing and sputtering and going under. And if you jump in the water to save them, they will, in their panic, pull you under with them. You cannot save a fool. Only life can be their teacher. Only the direct and unmitigated consequences of their own actions can finally break through their stubborn refusal to learn. And if you keep intervening, you are preventing those consequences from doing their essential work. Number 6. The Master Manipulator, the ITU. The manipulator is perhaps the most dangerous individual on this list, because they are the most difficult to recognize. They do not approach you with demands. They approach you with compelling narratives. They do not take from you directly. They skillfully make you want to give. The manipulator has a keen understanding of human nature. They know that good people possess a natural desire to help. They know that kind people feel a sense of guilt when they say no. And they use this knowledge as a finely honed weapon. They will tell you precisely what you need to hear to gain your sympathy. They will play upon your deepest emotions. They will make you feel special, needed, and uniquely important. And before you know it, you are doing things for them that you would never consider doing for anyone else. The manipulator is a chameleon of character. With one person, they are the helpless victim. With another, they are the misunderstood hero. They alter their story depending on their audience. And if you were to compare notes with others who have dealt with them, you would find that the stories are full of contradictions. When you help a manipulator, you are not assisting a person in genuine need. You are feeding a complex system of deception. You are providing the resources for them to continue playing their games. And the moment you stop giving, the moment you begin to see through the performance, they will turn on you with a shocking swiftness. They will paint you as the villain. They will tell others of the great wrong you have done them. And they will move on to find their next unsuspecting target. Number 7. The Unrepentant Rebel. Finally, we come to the person who knows better, but consciously refuses to do better. They have been taught. They have been warned. They have been corrected. But they simply do not care. They have made a deliberate choice to continue on their destructive path, and nothing you can say or do will alter their course. The unrepentant person is not ignorant. They are defiant. They are fully aware of what is right, but they prefer what is wrong. And when you try to help them, they may nod and smile and agree with everything you say. But the moment your back is turned, they will return to their old ways. This is perhaps the most difficult type of person to let go of, because you can see their potential. You can see the person they could become, if only they would choose to change. And so, you keep hoping. You keep believing that this time will be different, but it never is. The unrepentant person must want to change for themselves, and until that desire comes from within them, all the help in the world will make no difference. You cannot want their healing more than they want it. You cannot fight for their freedom harder than they are willing to fight for it. And if you try, you will only exhaust yourself, while they remain exactly the same. So, what are we to do with all of this? Are we to become cold and indifferent? Do we stop helping people altogether? No, Honai. We learn the art of discernment. We learn to recognize the crucial difference between someone who is struggling and someone who is stuck. We learn to distinguish between someone who needs a hand up and someone who is looking for a free ride. We learn to see the world clearly, without judgment, but also without illusion. True compassion is not enabling. True compassion sometimes means stepping back and allowing people to face the full weight of their own choices, because it is often through difficulty, through hardship, through hitting the bottom, that people finally awaken. When you help the right people, you see fruit. When you pour your energy into good soil, you see growth. But when you give to those who are not ready, who do not want to change, who will only use you and drain you, all you will ever see is waste. Your energy is a precious resource. Your time is finite. Your abilities are limited. And you must be wise about where you invest them. Not everyone deserves your help. And to say that is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of profound wisdom. So ask yourself today, who am I helping that I should let go of? Who am I rescuing that truly needs to fall? Who am I enabling that needs to face their own consequences? And when you find the answer, have the courage to step back, not with anger, not with resentment, but with the quiet understanding that sometimes the most loving thing you can possibly do is allow someone to experience the full and unbuffered weight of their own choices. Because in the end, you cannot save anyone. You can only point the way. And whether they choose to walk that path or not is entirely up to them.